BTS News Today.in, an industry built on polished narratives and carefully curated glimpses into private lives. It takes very little for a single word to ignite a wildfire of speculation. For BTS, a group whose global influence is matched only by the intensity of public curiosity surrounding them, even the smallest moment can become the center of a cultural conversation. This time, it was not a performance, a surprise release, or a formal interview that set the internet ablaze, but a quiet exchange that many fans now describe as one of the most emotionally loaded moments in recent memory. At the heart of it lies Park Jimin, a soft-spoken artist known for guarding his inner world, and Jungkook, whose offhand comment about home has been interpreted by millions as something far deeper than casual speech. The story began innocently enough, as so many BTS-related moments do, through a live broadcast meant to connect rather than provoke. Jimin appeared relaxed, almost contemplative, his voice steady yet unusually reflective. As he spoke about his recent days, he drifted into a subject he rarely addresses directly: family. For longtime followers, this alone was notable. Jimin has often spoken about gratitude, upbringing, and the values instilled in him, but he has also drawn clear boundaries around what he chooses to share. This time, however, his words carried a weight that felt different, as if he were standing on the edge of a truth he had never fully voiced before. He spoke of change, of realizing that family is not always defined by blood alone, and of learning that belonging can be built quietly over time. The phrasing was careful, but the emotion was unmistakable. His eyes softened, his pauses lengthened, and his tone suggested not just reflection but resolution. Fans listening live sensed it immediately. This was not a philosophical musing delivered for comfort. It felt personal, specific, and deeply lived. Then came Jungkook's comment that it arrived without ceremony, typed or spoken with the kind of casual sincerity that has long defined him. In response to Jimin's words, Jungkook referred to him as home. The word itself is simple, universal, and often used metaphorically. Yet within the context of that moment, it landed with the force of a confession. Jungkook did not elaborate. He did not correct himself or soften the statement. He simply let it exist, unadorned and unprotected, as if it required no explanation at all. Almost instantly, social media erupted. Within minutes, clips of the exchange circulated across platforms, accompanied by captions ranging from disbelief to quiet awe. Fans replayed the moment repeatedly, analyzing not just what was said, but how it was said. Jungkook's tone, Jimin's reaction, the brief silence that followed, all became evidence in a collective investigation driven as much by emotion as by curiosity. For many, the comment felt like the missing piece in a story that had been unfolding for years in fragments: glances, shared laughter, and unspoken understanding. The phrase home took on a life of its own. Linguistically, it is one of the most emotionally charged words in any language. It implies safety, belonging, acceptance, and permanence. To call a person home is to suggest that they are not merely a place of comfort, but a center of gravity, the point to which one returns when the world becomes overwhelming. In the context of BTS, a group that has spent much of its career on the road, navigating relentless schedules and public scrutiny, the idea of finding home in another person resonates profoundly. What made the moment even more striking was Jimin's reaction. He did not laugh it off or deflect with humor. Instead, he smiled, small and genuine, his eyes briefly glistening as if touched by something deeply familiar. He did not contradict Jungkook. He did not clarify or redirect the conversation. He simply accepted the word, allowing it to settle between them like a shared truth that needed no further defense. This silence spoke volumes. For years, Jimin and Jungkook's bond has been one of the most discussed dynamics within BTS. From their trainee days to global superstardom, their connection has been visible in ways that feel both intimate and instinctive. They gravitate toward each other on stage and off, often unconsciously mirroring movements, exchanging glances that seem to communicate entire conversations without sound. They have supported each other through injuries, exhaustion, creative doubt, and the immense pressure that comes with being watched by the world. Yet, despite the visibility of their closeness, both have remained careful with language. They speak of friendship, trust, and brotherhood, terms that are both genuine and safe within the boundaries of public expectation. That is why Jungkook's choice of home felt so significant. It stepped outside the usual vocabulary into territory that is more vulnerable and far less scripted. In the hours that followed, fans began connecting the moment to something Jimin had said earlier in the broadcast, when he hinted at a personal realization involving family. He spoke about understanding who truly stands by you when everything else falls away, about recognizing the people who remain when the lights dim and the applause fades. He described a sense of peace that came from accepting this truth, even if it meant redefining long-held ideas about what family is supposed to look like. For many listeners, Jungkook's comment seemed to confirm what Jimin had been circling around without naming directly. It was as if Jungkook had articulated the conclusion of Jimin's reflection in a single word. The implication was powerful, that somewhere along their shared journey, they had become more than bandmates, more than friends, more than brothers in the metaphorical sense. They had become each other's constant, the emotional anchor in a life defined by movement and changed. Of course, not everyone interpreted the moment the same way. Some cautioned against overanalysis, reminding others that BTS members often speak poetically and affectionately, using language that reflects deep bonds without implying anything beyond that. They argued that home could simply be a metaphor for comfort and trust, a reflection of the safe space they have built as a group over more than a decade together. Yet even among these voices of restraint, there was an acknowledgement that this moment felt different. The reason lies not just in the word itself, but in the context in which it was offered and received. Jungkook did not say "this feels like home" or "you make this place feel like home." He said that Jimin is home. The distinction is subtle but significant. One describes an environment shaped by circumstances. The other places the essence of belonging within a person. For Jimin, whose career has involved constant travel, relentless schedules, and the emotional toll of public life, this distinction carries particular weight. Home, in the traditional sense, is often a fixed location tied to childhood and family roots. To redefine it as a person is to acknowledge that one's center has shifted, shaped by shared experiences rather than geography. As discussions deepened, fans began revisiting past moments with new eyes. Old interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, and lyrics were re-examined through the lens of this exchange. Instances where Jimin and Jungkook spoke about relying on each other during difficult times suddenly felt more significant. Moments of vulnerability that once seemed isolated now appeared as part of a longer, quieter narrative of mutual dependence and emotional safety. One recurring theme that emerged was how often Jungkook has spoken about feeling lost or uncertain at various points in his career, and how frequently Jimin has been present during those moments. Likewise, Jimin has openly discussed his struggles with self-doubt and emotional exhaustion, often crediting the members, particularly Jungkook, with helping him through those periods. The idea that they might represent home for each other feels, to many, like a natural evolution rather than a shocking revelation. What makes this moment resonate so deeply is that it taps into something universal. In a world where traditional definitions of family are increasingly fluid, many people find their truest sense of belonging not in blood relations, but in chosen connections forged through shared experience and emotional honesty. Jimin's reflection on family, paired with Jungkook's affirmation, mirrors this broader cultural shift, making their exchange feel both intensely personal and widely relatable. The industry context also matters. Idols are often discouraged, explicitly or implicitly, from expressing attachments that could be interpreted as exclusive or deeply personal. Maintaining a certain ambiguity allows fans to project their own interpretations while preserving a carefully balanced public image. Against this backdrop, Jungkook's comment stands out as unusually direct, even if it remains open to interpretation. That Jimin's decision not to deflect or reframe it is equally telling. In the past, he has often used humor or gentle redirection when conversations veered too close to personal territory. This time, he allowed the moment to stand, as if acknowledging that whatever it meant, it was real enough to be honored rather than explained away at days past. The initial frenzy gave way to more thoughtful reflection. Fans wrote essays, poems, and personal accounts of what the word home means to them, inspired by the exchange. Many shared stories of finding family in unexpected places, of discovering belonging in friendships that transcended conventional labels. In this way, the moment evolved beyond speculation about Jimin and Jungkook's relationship into a broader conversation about connection, vulnerability, and the courage it takes to redefine one's emotional truths. Whether or not Jungkook's comment was intended as confirmation of anything specific may ultimately be beside the point. What matters is how it was received and why it resonated so strongly. It touched a nerve because it felt honest, unfiltered, and deeply human. In a landscape often dominated by spectacle, it was a reminder that the most powerful moments are sometimes the quietest ones. For Jimin, the shocking family revelation may not lie in revealing a secret or making a declaration, but in allowing himself to acknowledge, even indirectly, that family can be found in the person who sees you most clearly, who stands beside you when there is nothing left to perform. For Jungkook, calling Jimin home may have been a simple truth spoken without calculation, a reflection of a bond so ingrained that it no longer feels extraordinary to name it. In the end, the moment remains beautifully unresolved. There was no follow-up explanation, no official clarification, no attempt to control the narrative that followed. Jimin and Jungkook moved on, as they always do, back into the rhythm of their work and lives. Yet the word lingered, echoing in the minds of those who heard it. Perhaps that is the truest confirmation of all. Not that everything has been defined, but that something real was revealed in its rawest form, allowed to exist without boundaries or labels. In a world that constantly demands answers, Jimin and Jungkook offered something far rarer, a glimpse of connection that needs no explanation, because it feels like home.